And how did you navigate? Sorry, I'm going to just totally pick your brain right now. And I think, you have 11-year-old, 13-year-old, and 5-year-old. How do you navigate this phone situation? Like, when do they get a phone? What are your rules around a phone? Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, can totally share. I'm on the board of Common Sense Media on the LA Advisory Board. So I have a specific stance on this that might be distinct from others. Now, again, I do have to say that every family is different, but most kids' brains are not different. So people always say every it's all different for everyone. It is, but also a child's brain is still developing until they're about, even the prefrontal cortex until they're about 25. So no, my kids do not have phones. And that's not to shame anyone who does. It's just that, I have done a deep dive into the developing brain as a neuropsychologist and someone who really appreciates neuroscience. And my son is entering middle school, and he's 13, and he will not be getting a phone probably until high school. I trust my son implicitly, by the way, and he's incredibly regulated. I would totally trust him with a phone. So again, some people say it depends on the kid, it depends on your circumstances. Yes, and I also want him to feel what it's like. Like, a lot of people talk about safety, right? And it's like, how they have to get a hold of you. We grew up without getting a hold of our parents.
Yeah.
I want him to feel that feeling of not being so comfortable that I can get a hold of my mom at any minute. Mm-hmm. I know that sounds crazy and counterintuitive, but it is so critical for their brain to struggle a little bit, right? And to feel what it feels like to ask an administrator for a phone because I have to call my mom, or to even memorize my phone number. Yeah. Like, we don't memorize anything anymore. So our brain, that part of our brain is kind of going into atrophy.
Yeah.
Because remember, it's a muscle. And if we don't use it, it kind of like...
Yeah, we used to dial the phone.
I mean, so he has access to devices. Like, he needs a computer for school. So we have lots of, we signed a contract, we talked about, and the contract is based on our value system. And I highly encourage people that if you are going to give your kid a phone or a device of any sort, talk about your family values related to the device versus actual device parameters.
Give me an example.
So an example. So it's like, our family values connection over clicks or likes. And so what does that mean? It means that, or our family values, quality time versus other people's urgency. And so what that means to my son is that he might get a ton of messages, and he's always, because of his brain, and he's a child and he has decreased impulse control, as he should, he's going to feel like he has to respond immediately and that he's missing something if he doesn't. So we're talking about those edges and how it's so critical to not respond right away, and that the right people will understand and wait, right? And by the way, as an adult, I'm learning that too.
I'm like, I know. I'm a child too, because I feel those same things.
Right?
Yeah.
But texting has evolved. Like, we used to text for immediacy. Now a text is essentially an email and can wait days. Yeah. Right? It's like, it's a whole new language. We get texts, we get DMs, we get emails, it's like WhatsApp. There's so much reaching out. And so that's what I mean when I say talk about your values, right? And it's like family time. Okay, that means we're definitely not on devices. Also, our family value is sleep. We cherish sleep. Okay, what does that mean from a device standpoint? We don't use devices before bed. We leave any child's device outside of a bedroom. My husband and I try to do the same now that our kids are a bit older. But it's hard because, like, I tell the kids, everything I do is on my one device. Our house security, our locks, my car. Like, I can't operate my vehicle without my phone.
Wow.
Right? I have an electric vehicle. So our life is engineered to be beholden to these things. And so, no, he doesn't have a phone, but he does have access to certain devices for school, and we're learning those edges now. My younger girls don't have much access, and that's tricky because they see their older, especially my 11-year-old.
No iPads?
Occasionally for reaching out to friends over the summer.
Oh, wow.
We do travel, everything's out the window. We have and occasionally, yes, educational stuff for school she has to do, but not really. And it's really hard.
You know too much.
It's really hard to parent that way.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it for everybody.
I was going to ask, like, for your son, probably most of his peers may have a phone at this point.
Yeah.
What has been, like, what has he come home and expressed? And, like, is there, like, begging for a phone? I admire someone who can stand so sturdily in your values and knowing what you know and really protecting your son in the right way, and how I'm curious to see how he's responding to that.
So the what has worked the best with him and talking through with my kids is actually explaining how the brain works.
Okay.
And reflecting to them when they are on a device, how they feel. And it's really profound. And I think that's the piece that a lot of people miss. So they focus on the behavior, they focus on the meltdowns right after you take the device away. They focus on, like, he's so angry all of a sudden, or why is he so exhausted, or what's happening? But they miss the piece of talking to their child about it. I'm noticing that you're feeling really stressed right now. Isn't that interesting how the device has made you feel that way? Do you think there's a link there? It seems to me like there is every time. And then, like, whoa, yeah, you're right. And so now my son says to me, God, I do feel tired after I'm on it for a while, or after a trip or something, and it's like he's able to now have the self-awareness to say, I don't even want it. I feel better when I'm not on it, or, and it's hard. So we talk through that, and we talk about why. We talk about the why. We talk about the brain. We talk about addiction. We talk about, because he's starting to hear about all, different drugs, this, that, and the other. And we do talk about how it does trigger certain parts of the brain that are very similar, if not the same.
Yeah.
And we talk about quick dopamine versus slow dopamine. And we talk about the critical importance of slow dopamine for a child's brain specifically versus those fast, like, I'm getting my hits with a device, with gaming, with messaging. All of that is the quick dopamine they don't have to work for. And so they've learned as kids that they don't need to put in effort to feel good or to get pleasure. We learned that we have to work at something, we have to practice something, and then once we get it, we feel good about it.
That's the slow dopamine.
That's the slow drip. And that's really what sets up the brain for success and to thrive. And the way that they're learning is very damaging.
Yeah. And
so we're seeing that now in the generations that sort of have just now starting to grow up, that have grown up on devices. And it can be particularly tragic.
It's like a lack of resilience, right? You've got to earn something. You've got to effort to something. There's got to be a time delay. There's got to be a challenge you need to overcome.
It's just, it's discomfort. And the younger kids, like, they haven't really had any. Because, anytime they're uncomfortable, and we don't mean anything bad. We love our kids, of course, but it's like, oh, we don't want you to feel pain. Here's a device. It's okay. You're fine. Or we're at a fancy dinner. Here's a device, because we don't really want you to kind of fall apart right now, because it's a little late and we're making a choice that's kind of setting you up to fail, but, like, it's fine.
But we want
our time.
Too, so
and again, that's fine, right?
Yeah.
Like, we all make choices, and I've certainly made bad choices too, and not bad or good, but, like, choices where, I probably have set them up to fail, right? We all do that. But, and we've certainly, I'm not saying that using a device as a babysitting tool is a bad idea either. We need breaks as parents, right? And some of us we don't have a community to rely on. So I totally get that. But it is something to pause and to really think through, because the more they do that, if you've done it once or twice or 5 times, it's fine, right? Yeah. But if it's, like, consistent, you're training your brain for something.